the first semester of UA now officially over, we find the Class A students now participating in additional training to further advance their quirks in their attempts of becoming pro heroes, but the most important question is, are the students improving fast enough on their quest of becoming professional heroes? What is going on, My Hero Academia fans? Welcome to my official My Hero Academia Season 40 review entitled Wild Wild Pussycats, which leads into next week's exciting episode of My Hero Academia episode 41, in which this episode pretty much justifies the training that the UA students have to go through in order to further improve their quirks, but also going as far as to meeting challenges and oppositions that not only allow them to have their backs up against the wall, but puts them on the edge of their toes in being aware at any given time in basically any given situation. And again, if you guys are new to this channel and of course love My Hero Academia, don't forget to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a brand new My Hero Academia episode is posted onto this channel. Hashtag notification squad. Now, to give you guys some context, early on in the beginning of the episode, we see how Eraserhead pretty much mentions that the first semester of UA is over. However, for those who are striving to be heroes, the semester isn't quite over. There are no rest days. And for me, after seeing everything these students have went through seasons 1 and season 2, it's interesting how Eraserhead mentions that just because you're on vacation doesn't necessarily mean that the training is over. Now, Class A and Class B finally get together, and with that, we get to see how everyone is basically going to continue their training and of course becoming professional heroes in the foreseeable future, at least for many of them, of course. Now, what I also really enjoyed about the beginning of this episode was seeing how Shigaraki was building this pyramid of cards, and he's still going to continue his quest, his dream, in getting rid of All Might, but also bearing in mind that Deku had done everything in his power to stop that from happening, and the fact that Shigaraki still has a plan. Shigaraki is not finished with his re-envisioning of the world and getting rid of All Might and basically enforcing his own rule of justice upon the world, which of course, as many Dragon Ball fans would know, this personally reminds me a lot of Zamasu. So I love how there is a distinct connection between Zamasu and Shigaraki, because Shigaraki has his own sense of justice. He has his own sense of morals in what he wants to achieve, and by doing so, he will do whatever it takes to get rid of All Might and of course Midoriya to fulfill that quest and vision. So that I do have to respect. However, as we carry on in the episode, we finally get to see the debut of the Wild Wild Pussycats, and I loved how Deku immediately said they are a veteran team that specializes in mountain rescues and how he's so happy to see them, and all the while he's blushing, obviously gravitating towards their sexual appearance. And to me, they also reminded me of, you know, some of the members of Ribrianne's squad because of their outfits and the way they conducted themselves with their poses. So that was really cool to see in that sense, even though I felt like the Wild Wild Pussycats did that a lot better than Ribrianne and her squad. So props to the Wild Wild Pussycats for that, but I really enjoyed how Eraserhead brought them onto the squad for the kids to learn in further becoming heroes as they learn from the pros. However, the minute the students actually get to meet the Wild Wild Pussycats, they point out that the facility they need to get to is deep within the Beast's forest, and in order for the kids to get there, the training had already started the moment they've arrived in meeting the Pussycats. Why? Because the Pussycats actually destroyed the land beneath them, causing the students to sink on down into the depths of the forest in trying to get to the facility within 3 hours by getting through the Beast's forest. Now, that's pretty raw. That's pretty raw in nature in trying to persuade these kids in trying to use their quirks and getting on by whatever lies in the forest. And all of the students at first were pretty much like a bit terrified because they didn't know what to expect. And I love how Eraserhead immediately said training camp begins now as the students arrived, because the students were trying to get to the bus, because as soon as the Pussycats pointed out where they were supposed to go, one of the students had mentioned that, okay, well, perhaps maybe getting on the bus would be the quickest way to travel, but the Pussycats said, no, you're on your own and you have to make it there on your own 2 feet. So this is why I enjoyed this anime, is because you don't know what to expect. even from the pro heroes, there isn't a line that can't be crossed. I mean, these kids are always being pushed to the edge of their breaking points and seeing how bad they want to become heroes, and that's the point of UA. That's the point of this entire show, is seeing how far a student or students are willing to go before they crack and becoming pro heroes, just like the people they idolize. Now, of course, once in the forest, we get to see how the students come across one of the beasts, and I absolutely love how Todoroki, Ida, Kacchan, and Deku were able to work as a cohesive unit in taking down the beast. And it was actually very easy to do, and all while this is happening, Eraserhead says that the students need to use and are permitted to use their quirks because with villains being so active, in a case of an emergency, they need to be on their tippy toes. And that's why I really enjoyed this episode, was seeing how quickly a situation could be placed upon the students and seeing how they would react. And let me tell you, boy, did they react after seeing more of the beasts appear. And what I really enjoyed about the other beasts appearing was the fact that all the students collectively together worked together to take them down. We saw how each individual was using their quirk to their advantage in either throwing acid, wrapping the beasts up with tape. You know, it was really, really awesome to see how everyone collectively would come together to fight the beast. And that's a huge step following season 1 and season 2 in seeing how the students are growing together and not only becoming professionals, but also becoming friends, also becoming something even more than friends to an extent, and that's family, because we see how each individual was basically looking after their fellow student, and that you can respect because we've gone such a long way from season 1 and season 2, and I felt like the evolutionary process of these characters working together in this episode shined all the way through. And I really love how bitter Kacchan can be in comparison to Todoroki, because as they were attacking the beast, I love how Kacchan told Todoroki, "Get your weird half-ass away from me," and Todoroki responded by saying, "I'm not even in your way." So those two have like an obvious, you know, competitive grudge with each other, at least for Kacchan, and that shined all the way through. But I really enjoyed how even with the grudge that, you know, they hold against each other and being competitive, it still worked to their advantage. Now here's the thing, once the students finally made it to the facility, you can tell based on the environment that the sun has set pretty low. And with that being said, that just goes to show that it took them quite some time, much longer than 3 hours to get the job done, because once they got back, the Pussycats were pretty much saying, well, we thought it would take longer, but it did take you quite some time to actually reach the facility, and all the students are beat up, they're tired, they're hungry, some of them managed to wet their pants. It was absolutely insane. Until, of course, we got to meet Koda. Now, who is Koda? It's the cousin of one of the Pussycats. Now, as Deku approaches this kid and trying to talk to him, I love how Koda, without hesitation, just one-shots Deku in the balls. And that was so funny because here's this little ass kid who pretty much is looking down upon the students in his own way, managing to just deck Deku right in the nutsack as he introduces himself. So that was a pretty cool thing, until of course Ida questioned him and saying, why would you do that to Midoriya? And this little kid Koda responds in saying, I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to become like you heroes. I have no intention on doing so. And as soon as everyone brings up the age, Eraserhead cuts in and saying, okay, well, everyone inside, bathe, eat, sleep, and we're gonna start the real training tomorrow. And as everyone's inside, for some weird reason, it reminded me so much of Harry Potter, and get this why. It's because everyone's eating together just like, you know, Gryffindor and Slytherin and Hufflepuff and all the other classes would. We see how Class A is together, everyone's enjoying their meals, everyone's having a good time, trying to pass over rice, trying to, you know, just be more or less like friendly among each other. Even though Kacchan is the hottest head in the entire cafeteria, I really enjoyed how everyone is basically taking the time to just kick back and relax before the real training actually begins. And before the training begins, everyone's in the hot springs enjoying themselves except for Mita. Now this kid was imagining himself across the wall where all the girls are, being super perverted, and Ida was the only one to try and grab this kid before he used those giant purple balls on his head to climb over the wall. And I really enjoyed how this kid made the episode for me in saying, you know what, the hell with all the rules, the hell with me having to stand here here and listening to all of those girls in the hot spring having a good time, I'm gonna climb over this wall and get some action. And this kid, he started climbing that wall, and I was actually rooting for him until, of course, he got to the tippy top, and the first person he comes across is Koda, this little kid, the nephew of one of the Pussycats. And he tells, this little kid, he tells him, first, before becoming a hero, you have to learn how to become human. And he slaps him off the wall. And I really enjoyed this episode solely because of that alone. I mean, the episode entirely was amazing, but that scene alone did it for me. And this is why I consider episode 40 to be a very solid episode in terms of character growth and seeing the comedy aspect of the episode. And looking back on some of the older movies you may watch as a kid or as an adult, you get to see some references here that I felt connected, at least in my personal opinion, and seeing how these characters stood among each other. And I think that was a really unique moment, especially for Koda, and coming across this kid just to slap him down off the wall. However, he wasn't the only one to get thrown off the wall, because as soon as Koda turned around and he saw all the girls in the hot spring, this little kid caught like a little miniature heart attack and fell off the wall himself. And if it were not for Deku, he would have gotten seriously hurt. Now, once Deku brought him to one of the Pussycats for him to recuperate and recover, Deku is reminiscing on what Koda said in the fact that he doesn't want to be surrounded around heroes. And he began to question one of the Pussycats and saying, why is that? Why is this kid so negative towards heroes? I don't understand this. I've always been surrounded with people who want to be heroes. So what's Koda's issue? Well, Koda's issue against heroes is the fact that his parents, as an end result, were killed when he was a kid. That's why his outlook is pretty much negative, because they were killed during their line of duty. And for such a little kid like that to lose his parents due to such unfortunate circumstances, it causes someone to warp their mentality and their outlook on life in a very negative way. So that is why Koda was negative in his outlook against the heroes and people wanting to be heroes. However, the next morning, even after Deku had learned about Koda's fate and why he is the way he is, the official training day begins with day 2, and everyone's outside early in the morning. And the first thing Eraserhead does is test out everyone's strength by beginning with Kacchan and throwing the ball and seeing how far he can throw it. Now, his previous record was 705 meters, and wanting to see how much Kacchan had improved, he manages to throw the ball 709 meters. That's not impressive nor a huge improvement at all, and that's a problem. And with that, Eraserhead tells the students that he's going to push these kids to the point where they're going to feel like they're going to die, because they need to improve their quirks, even going as far as, doing so early in the morning. And it's true what they say about working hard, especially early in the morning, to get the job done in certain aspects, because you need to improve continuously in what you do. So for me, this whole episode I think was really enjoyable. I have yet to see a bad My Hero Academia episode, and I swear to God, every episode is consistent, and following episode 39, episode 40, in my opinion, was just as consistent, because it had a little bit of comedy, it had a little bit of doubt, we get to see, springs of desperation. It was really enjoyable in what we saw, and I personally cannot wait to see how these kids are going to improve in their quirks, because it's been quite some time since their first test, and now seeing as how Eraserhead had mentioned that the students may not have improved that much with their quirks, that's going to be a problem, especially now with villains having to be on the rise. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys, as to what you guys thought about My Hero Academia episode 40. Did you guys enjoy the episode? Did you guys dislike the episode? What are your thoughts on the kids not being able to improve that much with their quirks? What are your thoughts on the comedical relief that we saw with, various different characters, and also with Koda? What do you guys prognosticate in seeing Koda, in the future of My Hero Academia? Is he going to eventually agree upon, seeing heroes in a positive light, or is he going to remain negative the way he is and portray a very dark image in what heroes are supposed to be through his own perception? Let me know down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I will continuously now provide My Hero Academia reviews weekly, and of course providing discussions for that. So if you guys want to see more of My Hero Academia content, make sure you guys go ahead and slap a like down below. Hit that subscribe button, guys, alongside enabling all notifications. And if you guys want to watch more more My Hero Academia videos, I will leave the official playlist link down in the description box for you guys to watch and enjoy. So many references, even to one of my favorite animes, Dragon Ball, especially with Dragon Ball Super, and seeing how some characters were very relatable to some of the other individuals we saw in this anime. For example, Shigaraki reminds me so much of a Twisted Zama, so we get to see obviously the references between Momo and Kale. So many others which I really do enjoy, but I also really enjoy how Deku and Kacchan's abilities and traits were recognized by one of the pros, that being one of the Pussycats. So hopefully enough we get to see more of these students in action in the foreseeable future. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys for My Hero Academia episode 41. Take it easy, everybody. Cue my motherfucking outro, bitch.